have to be.
I can imagine.
Nobody's there anyway.
Are we live?
We are live. Yeah.
Okay. Welcome everyone to the building committee meeting of the Little Compton School Committee for Wednesday, December 8th. If everyone would please rise to pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. We're here for an update on stage 2 of the Wilbur McMahon School Education Facility Master Plan.
I can start this. Members of the building committee attended the November 18th town council meeting. School committee chair Polly Allen, Superintendent Dennis Mitchell, architect Phil Conte, and business manager John McNamee. The various public forums that we have held in concert with CUJ have resulted in a $12 million wish list generated by stakeholders. That's all it was a wish list. Mr. Texcare. And the architect engineers facilitated refining that to reflect 14 essential projects for a total of 4.9 million, less at least 35% reimbursement for a total of 3,185,000 over 5 to 10 years, and some sooner rather than later actuated. And so part of the process is hosting the school building authority at a building committee meeting. And I give the floor to Dr. Joseph De Silva.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome. Welcome back to Little Compton.
So. Yeah, so building with us, breaking ground. So I don't know how many I have here, but. Sure. There should be. Yeah. Thank you. I'm here because of regulatory.
I think it's all
reform. My name is Joseph De Silva, and I'm the coordinator of the
breaking ground.
Department of Education School Building Authority. I've been there since the creation of the program in 2007. And so I'm going to go through a couple of items that are standard practice so that you all understand the opportunities available, what our process is, etc. There should be 2 handouts.
Yeah, it's all precedent.
So, I'm going to start with the breaking ground one. I'm not sure. So if you go to the breaking ground sheet, you'll see that we have it outlines our process. And at the bottom is what the state does. At the top is what you all do locally. So it starts with the stage 1, which is basically you all identify the needs in your building, and you've done that. You've received preliminary approval, which is at the first step at the bottom from us. And then you're moving into stage 2, which is where you are currently. And then that's where you identify your solution to the problems that were identified in stage 2. And you'll see that at that junction time, you'll need local support for your project. That means school committee approval and town council approval. You will submit that by February 15th. We'll review it, and then either by May or June, you'll receive the Council of Elementary and Secondary Education approval which is a commitment of the state to fund a percentage of your capital outlay. So we'll, and the council is here. If you have bonding, then there will be, you'll have to get enabling legislation, and you'll have to go to the voters if there's any of that. Okay, then on the back is, once you get approval of stage 2, you go into stage 3. We'll review your designs as we did a while back when we did all this work here. You'll do the construction. Once you get our approvals of your drawings and the like, and it's 3 approvals: schematic design, design development, construction documents. You'll bid and construct your project, and at the end, you will submit your project for housing aid. And you have a very astute and experienced gentleman who knows how to, do that process like no other. So that's that sheet. That's just an overview of our process in case you're not familiar with that. The next document is getting shovel ready. With reference to that. So basically we have in this document, we have 3 funding streams. As a result of additional opportunities, we've expanded those. But as you can see by the size, housing aid, what we call housing aid, and the word comes from schoolhouses. It's a really old program. And so that is the bulk of our funding is housing aid. And then we have a capital fund, and we have a construction bond that the voters voted back in 2018 for $250 million with incentives of up to 20% or 17.5% as a result of your community. So in the back, it speaks to those incentives. You'll see that there are basically 6 incentives available. There's the health and safety incentive, and I'll make reference to some of the projects that the capital improvement projects you all are seeking. Many, if not all of those would be eligible for the health and safety. Then you have the opportunity for educational enhancements, and you have a few that are eligible for that. Work in media center, work in stage, outdoor classrooms, things of that nature that would satisfy. So what this is saying is that you would get your minimum share of 35% reimbursement on this work and an additional 10% on top of that. Okay, so right now you would be at 45%. And then one of the items that's not here, we also have an energy bonus. See, you would not satisfy the other criterias because usually that involves new construction. So you do have another opportunity to get anywhere from 2 to 4% of additional incentives for high performance design, net positive design, and energy and water efficiency. So by the looks of it, you all have the opportunity to get 14 percentage points, depending on how you package these projects and how well you can execute the 2 to 4% additional bonus. So that is basically my presentation. Right now, the incentives from the state are pretty robust. We have a variety of opportunities such as PayGo, we're winding down on that. So the voters approved $250 million in PayGo. We've already awarded a good percentage of that, and we have a whole bunch of projects coming in this year. So I'm not sure how much PayGo you would get. You will know by the time you get approved what that would be. Now, PayGo is just, instead of you coming up with the money for the total project, we would give our portion, the 35%, we would give that as you do it. And that would help you cash flow. So if you bond, there's bond premiums that are out there that are very generous. It's the best time to do capital projects in the state of Rhode Island, without a doubt. However, I want to say that on the incentives, there are timelines on those incentives, and that is after 2023, those incentives expire. The General Assembly might consider extending those, but we don't know. So you'll have to complete your projects before that deadline. So other than that, that's my presentation. I'm here to answer any questions regarding your program of planned projects. I do encourage you to, make use of the educational bonus as much as possible. There are details in this how much the project has to be. So there, $500,000 for an educational project. So depending on how you package these, because you control what you define as a project. Okay. So we're here to support you through this process. You have a stage 2 that's due February 15th.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll look forward to that. Any questions?
Which is, oh, go ahead.
So on the incentives, so if we package an educational increment enhancement for 500, and then we have another 500,000, let's say, for health and safety. So we got $1 million. Do we get the whole? We get the 45% on the total project, which is really the benefit, because now you're combining those incentives and it applies to the whole project, not just to the individual components. Whereas if we just did an educational enhancement, we would be getting 40%
That's correct.
instead of the 45.
You're absolutely correct.
So there's an incentive for doing more sooner to take advantage of the educational incentives. I mean, the housing aid incentives.
Correct.
Okay.
Also, there are some requirements for an owner's project manager once the project exceeds a certain amount. So that's something you all should consider procuring the services so you can be eligible for those if your project goes above
Okay.
1 point something. I forget exactly the number, but if you're doing, $4 or $5 million worth of work, you would need an owner's project.
Yep.
But you are absolutely correct. By creatively lumping projects together, you maximize your incentives.
Excellent. Okay.
No, I was just gonna say thank you.
Which incentives sunset? Not
Yes, that's.
every single one?
No, not all of them sunset at the same time.
Okay.
So if you look, the health and safety and educational enhancements,
Mhm.
that you have to commence by 2022.
Okay.
So by next December, you have to start these projects.
Okay.
The other ones that you're not eligible for is 2023.
All right.
So one of the ways that communities have safeguarded against this.
Oh, here it is. Yep.
If you hire say a construction manager or someone, and you enter into that contract for the total amount in 2022, then you're locked in.
Okay,
Okay,
So that is a good option to consider, even though you're phasing the projects over time.
I-
Now,
I did just see the fine print there.
yeah.
It's really tiny.
Hopefully, the General Assembly will extend it, but we won't know that until the end of the legislative session.
is there a time limit if we sign a contract in 2022 in terms of completing everything?
Yeah, we will execute an MOA with the district, and the max will be 5 years.
Yeah,
Okay,
So you would be locking them in,
not bad.
say, in December of next year for the next 4 years.
okay, good.
Or you could do these projects, over 2 summers and get it done, so it's not over that time. But again, we'll know this legislative session, what will happen.
Okay.
There may be an introduction of another bond. We're hopeful that will be the case. They may be different incentives at that junction in time.
Okay,
But we wouldn't know that until November, after the election.
Thank you so much, Dr. De Silva.
Easy enough.
all right, thank you.
Thank you for your
Thank you very
service to our children. I
Oh.
appreciate
It
that.
is our pleasure.
You all have a happy holidays, and thank you for allowing me to speak in front of you.
Thank
You
you.
as well.
This was a wonderful primer, and it really did bring a lot, just nice and crystal clear now about the process. Thank you so much. Thank you. Excellent.
Do you have any more you want to add, Phil?
Not to
No.
the A presentation, no.
No, okay. I did say I'd love to add some lights to the outside of the eastern building over there, but I don't know if it's too late.
So
They are
it's
operational.
not, and we can certainly talk about that as we go.
Okay.
I think some of that stuff is going to be somewhat generic so that you have a little bit of a latitude
Yeah, so
to add some of
the
those
last
things.
item that we have, that we're gonna put into stage 2, that says select deferred maintenance, is really where it's a placeholder.
Okay, yeah,
Dr. Silva is gonna give you an MOU that just says Wilbur McMahon School,
So,
and it's gonna be whatever we submit, 4.9 million, assuming they agree that it's 4.9 million. The SBA has in the past reduced that number.
I doubt.
I don't expect that will happen here.
Mhm.
So it'll just say Wilbur McMahon School, 4.9 million. And then there'll be a list of projects, but the list of projects are written in their MOU very generically, so that the school departments have the latitude to do lights
okay,
or,
excellent. No more questions? We're all set?
No.
All right, I will I'll entertain a motion to approve the November 10th minutes from the building committee.
So moved.
second,
All in favor?
okay,
Bye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And I'll also entertain a vote to adjourn.
so move.
Second.
It's kind of willy-nilly. All right, all in favor? Thank you all.
Tony, no questions? I thought you'd be